Here's our star. Sabrina is coming back to take a look and see where we're at. So he's always checking in, and he's touring the gallery at the moment. And as I'm making the case that I paint history and I'm reinvestigating a basically discredited aspect of academic art. History painting had been the most important form of painting for many, many centuries. The history of the Western world, the history of its rulers, the history of its religion. HMW Turner came along. He and others saw that landscape could rise to that occasion just as much as history per se. And I've decided that's going to be my focus. You know, it's been a focus for many, many times, but now it's crystal clear that that's what I need to do. This is a good example because you can see history. It's even embedded in the name. The fact that I titled it 1996. This is a snapshot of the river and what I was doing in 1996. So let me talk a little bit about that. I am using satellite images, aerial photographs, and other visual information to plot the very convorted, twisted, channel-filled, constantly changing riverbeds of the Yukon River system. That has always intrigued me. So there's a lot about the history of the river. Well, at that point, to the best of my ability, these are the way the channels were running. We know that rivers change all the time. And I often get questions about painting maps. No, I'm painting fine art paintings. They do use mapping, but they are not intended to be exact depictions the way a map is. That said, I am using maps to get the detail that I need that shows the dynamic natural process of a river that's braided, that's constantly changing and moving in its channels. The only habitation that is of any note is right here. That is Fort Yukon. It's right where the Porcupine River comes in, and there's a settlement. It's a native post. There's settlers there, and it's a major juncture on the Yukon. If you go upstream, eventually you go into Canada, and as you go downstream, you go into the full-out flats. This is lowland. Whenever you see these kinds of meanders and this level of complexity, you can assume that you have a relatively shallow, flat, low relief area that allows the river to meander across a giant floodplain. As you go north, you'll actually see some hills of the Brooks Range to the north. But here and even further below the river, it's relatively flat. So I'm really depicting that. It's saying something about environment. It's saying something about the ecology. When I look at it, I think of the millions, the billions of bugs that live in these marshy areas. All of these squiggles are standing water. So it's got an amazing flyway, birds coming from all over the planet to feed here in the summer, and of course mosquitoes as part of that mix. And here's our star. Sabrina is coming back to take a look and see where we're at. So he's always checking in, and he's touring the gallery at the moment.